Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Clever Patch Crafternoons. It is holiday time again and spring has sprung, so this week I thought we'd make some lovely paper flowers. So spring is a great time for flowers, and the best thing about these flowers is they will last all year round. So what we're going to need for today's craft is really basic materials. So we're going to use some colored paper. If you don't have colored paper at home and you just have white paper, you could create your own decorations using markers or pencils to get some really nice colors. I'm also going to be using tape, but you can use glue as well. I've used glue for these flowers, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use tape as it's a bit faster and won't have to wait for any drying times. And then last of all, we're just going to need a pair of scissors. All right, I think that's it. Let's jump into it. First up, I want to show you how to make your basic stem for each of your flowers. So all we're going to do is take a full sheet of our green paper, and then we're going to start from one corner and we're going to roll it diagonally. So it's just a matter of gently bending that paper over, and then once you start to get a good roll, you can use your fingertips and gently roll along like so, and roll again the full length of your hand so that it all rolls together. And there we have a basic stem. So you can glue this little end piece in place, or like I mentioned for today's tutorial, I'm just going to use a piece of tape. So there we have our first stem. Now, if you want to make a simple stem with leaves only, then all you need to do is get another sheet of your green paper and cut out some leaf shapes, and then just glue or sticky tape those on in place as well. So now we have our stem. Let's start with our first flower shape. So first up, I'll show you how to make these lovely curly blooms. So I think I'm going to choose red for this one. I just take my sheet of red paper and I'm going to fold it in half lengthways. Open it back out, and then I'm just going to carefully cut down this folded line. So I'll just pop one of those halves to the side. And now we have this lovely long piece of paper. And all we're going to do is fringe down one edge. And we want these fringes to be probably around 1.5 centimeters wide. And we're going to cut all the way, not all the way to the bottom. We need to leave it so it's still attached. And then continue on down the piece of paper, fringing like so. So now we have these lovely fringed edge. We're going to roll each of these loose pieces downwards. So like we did to make our stem, we're just going to bend the paper over and then roll it down. And you'll see when you let go, it springs up a bit. So gently roll. If you have a pencil, if you're struggling with rolling the paper, you might want to wrap it around a pencil or a pen, and that might make it a bit easier for you. So just go and roll all the way down your fringe section until it looks something like this. So you might want to unroll some of the curls more than others to get different effects. And then all we need to do is attach it to our stem. So we're going to start at one end, and we want the curls to be facing outwards. And basically all we're going to do is wrap it down and around the stem. So first up, we need to attach that in place to the stem. So I'm just using sticky tape. As I mentioned, you could use glue. And then we're just going to roll our red paper around the stem. And as you roll, you want to gently pull it downwards. So it's getting further and further down the stem. Until we've reached the bottom. Now all we need to do is secure that in place at the bottom using our tape or glue, like so, and we have a beautiful curly flower. Now we have our flower, it's time to add in our leaves. So to create our leaves, we're taking another piece of green paper, and on the short edge, we're just going to concertina so one fold, flip over, two folds, flip, three folds, and we're just going to cut off that extra paper there. So you can see now we have a concertina fold, and we want to focus on these two folded edges. So hold on to these folded edges, and then with your other hand, use the scissors to cut a half leaf shape. So there's the little stem part, and then we're going out to the leaf, and then it's going to taper away to the leaf tip. And what that does is gives us two identical leaves. Now all we need to do is we can gently use our fingers to bend those outwards, and then we can position them on our stem up near our beautiful flower. I think that's a good position for our first one. So I'm going to hold it in place and then use my tape so it's nice and secure. Like so. We just do the same with the other. I'm going to position it a bit lower on the other side. Have it curl up around that flower and then bend away. And tape in place. And there we have our first easy paper flower. The next flower we're going to make is this lovely bushy flower. So again, I want to start with a sheet of paper, and I'm going to fold it in half as I did last time. But this time, instead of opening and cutting in half, I'm going to cut a fringe all the way down this folded edge. Now I'm going to cut this fringe much smaller than the first flower's fringe. So about 1/2 centimetre wide. And I'm cutting again about 3/4 of the way down so that it's still got this strip down the bottom. Okay, so we've fringed all the way down that folded edge. Now we want to open our paper out so that the mountain fold or the peak is facing up on the desk. Now for this next part, we actually do need glue. It is probably easier to do it with glue, as I'm just going to run some glue along this edge and fold it over. You could use tape, but it might get a bit hard trying to tape it in place and hold it all together at once. So I've just run some glue down that edge, and now I'm going to fold the other edge over and glue it down in place. So the reason that we fold it back onto itself is it just gives this nice bouncy look to the fringe. So that's all in place, and now we have this lovely fringed paper that we can wrap around a new stem. So here's another stem, just like we did to start with. It's just been rolled up and held in place with sticky tape. And just like our first flower, we're going to take our fringed paper and attach it to the top of the stem using some tape. And then we're just going to roll the paper down and around the stem. Like so. Look how big and bushy this flower is. And you can use your hands to gently push out some of those fringes until you're happy with how it's sitting. We just hold that in place with tape. And now we can create the leaf or leaves for this flower. So for this one, I want some pointy leaves that run all the way around the bottom of our flower. So to do that, I've created a approximately 9 centimeter square. I fold it into a triangle once and then twice and then 3 times. Then I'm just going to take my scissors and carefully cut a zigzag top. Like so. And now when I open it back up, you'll see it's zigzagged all the way around. And I just want to cut down one of these lines to the center. And then what I can do is wrap this around the bottom of the flower. So pinch and scrunch it inwards, and then we just hold that in place with some tape. You can add a little extra leaf onto this one as well and bend that out. And tape it in place. So there we have another wonderful flower. So we've got two great designs there that you can try. There's also lots of other different paper flower designs out there on the internet. So make sure you have a search and see what beautiful bunch of flowers you can come up with. Well, I hope you've all had a great time creating some beautiful spring paper flowers. I'm sure you've come up with some fantastic designs of your own as well. So be sure to take photos of what you've made and send it in to us. Shoot us an email or tag us in on social media. We really do love seeing what you're creating at home as well. Join me next week. I will be back with some creepy crafts for the upcoming spooky season with Halloween not so far away. But until then, happy crafting!